Good morning. Please come to order. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. I am Randy Guy, President of Commissioners of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners. Sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, St. George Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
Sitting to my left, representing the 3rd Commissioner District, which includes Charlotte Hall, 7th District, Golden Beach, and Mechanicsville, Mr. John O'Connor.
Good morning.
Representing the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Mr. Todd Morgan. Dr. Rebecca Bridget, our County Administrator, is sitting at the table to my left.
Morning.
Elisa Cassis, our Communications Director, is sitting at the table to my right.
Good morning.
Amy Carter, our video media producer, is behind the glass. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. At this time, we have the invocation and pledge by Commissioner Colvin. Please stand.
Almighty God, you have blessed us this week with beautiful weather, with an early spring. We thank you for this. We thank you for the warmth. We thank you for the sunshine. And we thank you for this opportunity that we have here that you've given us. We ask that you would just give us clear heads and clear hearts, that we would just be able to do the work before us. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Colvin.
Thank you.
Next, we need approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have a proclamation for National Athletic Training Month.
All right. So this proclamation will be forwarded to the following St. Mary's County athletic trainers: David Hayes, the athletic trainer for St. Mary's Riken; Bailey Clark, also an athletic trainer for St. Mary's Riken; Wesley Patterson, head athletic trainer for ProFlex. This proclamation reads, whereas athletic trainers have a long history of providing quality health care for athletes and those engaged in physical activity based on the knowledge and skills acquired through their nationally regulated educational processes, and whereas athletic trainers are licensed certified experts who work to prevent and treat musculoskeletal injuries and sports-related illnesses, and whereas athletic trainers work with individuals who are physically active or involved in sports participation through all stages of life to prevent, treat, and rehabilitate injuries and medical conditions, and whereas in the past year, athletic trainers worked to develop COVID-19 protocols to help combat the coronavirus pandemic, athletic trainers not only assisted their teams, schools, and companies in developing and implementing risk mitigation protocols, but safe return to work and play protocols. And whereas we recognize March as National Athletic Trainers Month and the 2021 theme, Essential to Healthcare, to spread awareness of the important work athletic trainers do. And now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby proclaim the month of March as National Athletic Trainers Month and call upon all citizens to join in celebration and support of the athletic training profession. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Very good. Okay, next on our main agenda here, we have the Department of Land Use and Growth Management decision proposed amendment for a one-year moratorium on utility-scale solar projects. Mr. Bill Hunt, the Director of Land Use Growth Management, and I think Harry Knight might be on as Deputy Director also. Turn it over to you, Bill. You got it.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Bridget.
Good morning.
The request for a public hearing to consider a one-year moratorium on utility-scale solar projects was made to the Commissioners on February 2nd. The public hearing was held on February 23rd. One letter of support for the moratorium was received before the public hearing from the St. Mary's County Farm Bureau. Benjamin Hance, chair of the Southern Maryland Sierra Club, phoned in to the public hearing to object to the moratorium. Mr. Hance sent an email after the public hearing addressing solar farms and military bases. Mr. Hance is correct when he observes that commercial and residential developments can be and have been built on agricultural properties and properties that have woodlands, and this moratorium is not going to impact residential or commercial development. The county, the Solar Task Force, and the Sierra Club are in agreement on many points. All support solar as a potential source of good-paying jobs, a potential source of supplemental income for those farms that are identified in the siting study as suitable for solar. Solar could potentially reduce electricity costs, and solar contributes to a clean, green, and sustainable community. The limited purpose of the moratorium is to provide interim protection to properties that should not be used as sites for utility-scale solar projects. The solar siting study and the ordinance that follows it are going to identify sites that are not suitable for solar development. Some of the not suitable for solar sites that are identified might be on farms with prime agricultural soil. The Solar Task Force felt that the benefit to delaying all potential utility-scale solar projects so that sites to avoid could be identified and permanently protected by an ordinance outweighed the potential temporary economic loss to a farmer. Regarding the Navy and solar, the Solar Task Force will be asking the Navy to review the siting study and the ordinance. The benefit to imposing the moratorium in order to get the Navy input outweighs the potential that a farmer will be able to lease property for utility-scale solar farm before the study and ordinance are completed. The solar siting study and subsequent ordinance are going to enable the county to proactively welcome the development of solar energy within the county. Solar developers will be able to refer to the solar siting study for detailed guidance on where to look for potential sites to develop and will also know where to avoid. The regulations pertaining to development will be in the ordinance, which will let potential solar developers know what conditions have to be met, providing certainty. Purpose for the Solar Task Force that was appointed by the commissioners and its work, and the work it is doing, is to put St. Mary's County in the vanguard of counties ready for solar development. The public comment period ended on March 2nd, and no additional comments have been received. Staff recommends adoption of the ordinance for the one-year moratorium.
Mr. Hunt, could you explain to me your statement, the vanguard for solar development?
Yes, sir. Solar has been recognized by the state of Maryland as a type of green energy that should be promoted and supported throughout the entire state. St. Mary's County is not waiting for the state to come looking over our shoulder to see what we've done in this regard. We are actively going out through the Solar Task Force, identifying all the locations for all manner of solar that are suitable in the county, as well as identifying those properties that should not have solar so that someone who comes in will know where to look. And in doing that, we're in the vanguard because we're welcoming, we're saying, here, this is what we've got. We can offer you these locations. We can also offer you locations that you need to avoid so that you don't run into trouble if you decide to develop in these sites.
Okay, now this moratorium is supposed to be for a year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, it would be my assumption that it can be less than a year if the Solar Task Force comes back and responds out correctly.
Yes, sir. What we would do in a situation like that is when the ordinance is ready to present to the commissioners, that same ordinance would repeal whatever's left of that moratorium time period.
Okay, thank you.
When did this Solar Task Force actually begin? When did he first establish it?
Maybe Harry can interject on that. I had that in my earlier notes, but I didn't bring it with me today.
It was last year.
I believe it was last year.
And it was before COVID because I sat in that chair there and talked to them when we decided how we wanted to organize and get it started.
Right.
So this one more year will give
That
them
is
enough?
correct.
Is that right, Harry?
Yeah, you appointed them just before COVID, and then COVID prevented them scheduling their meetings until we had WebEx and all worked out.
Okay. So COVID has sort of been a big player in delaying this. Will they be able to provide all the information and everything they need in a year's time frame, do you think?
Yes, sir. We have received a next to final draft from the solar siting study.
Right.
That is very complete. It just needs to be finally edited by comments from the Solar Task Force. So we're not even waiting for that. We've got that.
Good.
And then we will have that as a basis to start writing the ordinance that will work for St. Mary's County.
And this will not impact private citizens for solar on their homes and whatever? Not at all
Correct.
right now? Okay.
Nothing less than the utility scale solar projects is impacted.
Okay.
And as I said before, there are none in the pipeline at the present time.
I understand. Okay.
I think what's getting very interesting in this is that, Montgomery County, the green county of all environmentalists, are having a huge problem with this solar issue right now. As a matter of fact, the Montgomery Council voted down a lot of the recommendations on and for farms within the last couple of weeks.
And there's no telling what the future will be for St. Mary's County, but obviously when we want to come ahead so that the commissioners can weigh in on any aspects of a proposed ordinance to avoid
I
last
agree.
minute.
I just want to make sure that, we're balancing putting food on people's tables versus worrying about green energy.
Yes, sir, and in some cases, those two might actually mesh. That is, it will help farmers in some instances, or potentially could, as well as having the prime agricultural properties
And
protected.
I agree with that. That's the reason I asked for this task force.
So I have some hesitancies about this. I'm going to vote for it and support it, but I don't like the implication on property owner rights and just taking away people's ability to do something with the land that they own. But I'm okay with it in this instance because it was requested by our solar task force and it is a limited time scope and that there's no known utility scale projects in the pipeline that we know of. So I don't believe it actually will hurt or impact anybody, but I just want to get that record out there that I'm not looking to extend it any further than a year, so hopefully they will be done within a year's time.
Certainly, it seems like we're ahead of that schedule.
Okay,
But there can be problems with the public hearing process, so I shouldn't say problems. There can be things that we don't foresee all the way through. So this should be ample time. And we wouldn't want to extend it any more than that either.
very good.
You didn't hear anything from the energy people, SMECO, about any problems with this?
No, sir.
Nothing at all? Okay. I know they got a percentage, at least the state of Maryland, SMECO is part of it, but we got to have a green energy. So much has got to be alternative versus fossil fuels thing by a certain date. I don't know if that's interfering with that part or not.
And we do have a member of SMECO who's on the solar
Commissioner Guy,
task
if I
force.
may.
Harry, we didn't, go ahead, Harry.
We do have a SMECO representative on the solar task force,
Okay.
and he voted in favor of this moratorium.
Okay, good, good. Any other questions, commissioners?
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed amendment to adopt a temporary moratorium on the reviewing and approving of new application for utility-scale solar projects and authorize Commissioner President to sign the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. I think you still have it again here. Actually, we got the Department of Land Use and Growth Management decision, proposed amendment to change the critical area overlay from Resource Conservation Area, RCA, to Intensely Developed Area, IDA, for the Real Food Studio Market project. Bill, you got it again.
Thank you, sir. The commissioners adopted the ordinance that allows critical area non-adjacent growth allocation in September 2020. The property that is the subject of the proposed non-adjacent growth allocation meets the necessary criteria for consideration. The applicants are requesting a change in the critical area overlay from resource conservation area to intensely developed area to be able to diversify their business. The St. Mary's County Planning Commission reviewed the request at a public hearing on January 11th, 2021, and recommended unanimously approval of this amendment. The request for this public hearing was made to the commissioners on February 2nd. The public hearing took place on February 23rd. No one spoke at the public hearing and no comments have been received. The public comment period ended March 2nd. Staff recommends approval. If approved, the change to overlay will have to be sent to the Critical Area Commission for its approval as well.
I move to approve the proposed amendment to change the critical area overlay from Resource Conservation Area, RCA, to Intensely Developed Area, IDA, for the Real Food Studio Project, 41566 Medley Neck Road, Leonardtown, Maryland, 20650, and authorize Commission President to sign the related documents.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
I'd like to thank your staff, Mr. Hunt, for working your way through this. It's been a long process. I'd also like to thank Michael and Lisa Kelly. If you were listening, you have that business, and Lord knows you have a great product, and you're bringing a good thing to St. Mary's County, and it's been a long and winding road. Now, they're still not done. They still need to put in for a change of use. But it is something I know the Critical Area Commission will pass no problems because they want to do something about obsolete, functionally obsolete buildings that are in the resource conservation area that need to be rehabbed. So this is a good thing. Good. Thank you.
Okay, I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a legislative update from our county attorney, Mr. David Weiskopf.
No memo to this.
I was
week.
just gonna say, there's only one memo.
Hello, Mr. Weiskopf, how you doing?
Good morning, everybody. Yes, it certainly ebbs and flows sometimes, so I guess this was, we caught it on a ebb, as they say. First one to discuss is SMATIC. The director had reached out to the commissioners asking for support because their budget has, I guess, the first year COVID hit, they lost 25%. Now it's projected to lose 50%. Right, going, I think, from about 900,000 to 450,000, so they're asking for a letter in support of that. I guess they get their money from the cigarette funds,
Tobacco
which is
buyout,
about $121 million, I guess, that they're trying to seek, 900,000 out of, so.
I think the thing that's ironic about this is that the St. Mary's, Calvert, and Charles were the biggest, part of Prince George were the biggest ones who got hit with the tobacco settlement years ago. And when the deal was cut, St. Mary's, Calvert, PG were the ones who received the least of the benefit. And in this particular case, St. Mary's has really been on the bottom end of that deal when tobacco was so prevalent around here. So what's going on for the audience here is that the state is just taking their budget from them and reallocating it across the board. So what the law stipulated was they're supposed to get so much money from the buyout, and what the state is basically saying right now is, well, we don't care about the buyout anymore. We're taking the tobacco restitution funds, we're moving them somewhere else. So basically, they're just they're cutting SMATIC in half. And the unfortunate part about it is that SMATIC doesn't just serve St. Mary's, Calvert, and Charles, but it includes also Anne Arundel and Prince George's. And there's a lot of ag up in those two other counties, which would be considered probably to be more urban than rural. And I think it's crazy that they're taking the money away, and I support going back and at least the money for SMATIC continues to dwindle year after year, and this is just a friggin' gutting of the organization that does so much to promote ag and everything else across the counties. So
Seems like this is gonna be an ongoing fight.
it's been an
every
ongoing
year.
fight
Yeah.
for years,
Yeah.
and each year it's sort of like, death by 1,000 cuts, and this time they're just sticking a guillotine to it and just saying, smack, kill it down. So I move to support the Southern Maryland Agriculture Development Center's request for support to be appropriated additional funding through a supplemental budget in amount of $450,000 to reach level funding from fiscal year 2021, and approve and authorize Commissioner President to sign a letter of support to Governor Hogan with copies to Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Budget and Management, the President of the Senate, Speaker of the House, Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, and Chairman of the Budget and Taxation Committee.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Where's Charles County on this and the other counties?
I haven't talked to Charles County on this one. I have a phone call on them later today on 3 subjects, and this is one of them.
So we don't know what their support is or takeaway from this is?
I believe they discussed it briefly in the delegation meeting.
The delegation is in favor of restoring
Yes.
the monies to SMATIC. And I think it's ironic, I think the governor just put in a supplemental budget the other day, tons of money,
Yeah.
and I haven't had time to go through his budget yet to see what the supplemental says, but I don't know if he put that 450,000 back into it or not.
All right. So we don't know if we're all by ourselves on this or
That's correct. I
have any dissension in the ranks.
No, we don't know.
have no idea.
We don't know. Okay, I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next one was House Bill 634, which was the Association Health Coverage Plans, that they were repealing application of Maryland's small group market reforms to any health plan offered by an association, and they were allowing a carve-out for the Chamber of Commerce. So we received a letter from the farm Bureau, that they would like to amend it to include the Maryland Farm Bureau so that they could be added as well to the Chamber of Commerce, so that way that they could offer, cheaper health insurance to farmers and
Good
rural
stuff.
businesses.
Move to support with amendment HB 634, Association Health Plans, and to approve and authorize Commission President to sign letters of support with amendment to the House and Senate committees for this bill.
Second, I'm sorry.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next was House Bill 1129, Senate Bill 873, which is Department of Information Technology, state and local governments and contractors cybersecurity training, which would require each member or each employee of a local government to take training in this regard, and MACO opposes the bill. Mr. Bob Kelly is requesting letters of opposition because it would obviously entail, more work, possibly, a new FTE for him to comply with this.
It also should be noted they have a list of they've decided what cybersecurity classes you're going to take along the way, and many of them, in many cases, aren't that relevant. But it's another, in my opinion, it's just another overreach to, Big Brother.
Agree. Overreach.
Move to oppose HB 1129, SB 873, Department of Information Technology, state and local government employees and contractors, cybersecurity training, and to approve and authorize Commission President to sign letters of opposition to the House and Senate committees for this bill.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. And next was Senate Bill 824, House Bill 1328, Economic Development Broadband Providers Joint Trenching and Fee. This is going along with the Rural Broadband Assistance Fund. And MACO supports the bill. Bob Kelly is asking for a letter of support. It will authorize local governments to assess fees to certain broadband providers that participate in joint trenching, and it will allow local governments to adopt policies to extend broadband access to underserved areas.
And this is for the trenching portion of it, correct?
Yes.
It doesn't deal with the newest technologies coming out, which would be, through 5G, through gigs and things like that in the sky. Yeah. So that's a whole another discussion I think we're gonna have to get to.
Yeah. Right.
In the meantime, we'll worry about, moving dirt.
Yeah, this is more about infrastructure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And give some supplement. Maybe I can get some.
I move to support SB 824, HB 1328, Economic Development Broadband Providers Joint Trenching Fee, Building Our Broadband Act of 2021, and to approve and authorize Commissioner President to sign letters of support to the House and Senate committees on these bills.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. And next was to discuss House Bill 655, the County Commissioner elections and district voting. It has passed the House. It is in the Senate. I believe it's in a committee. No hearing date has been set, but the question to the Commissioners, you've already voted, previously to oppose the House bill. The question was, what sort of letter would you like to be sent, when the hearings are set? Is it just the generic oppose that we've done before, or is it the oppose with a referendum, or is it oppose and also, change the local law that to allow it to be by all the districts be voted in at large? So, wasn't sure.
Well, I think
Want to be consistent with what we've done with the House? Makes sense?
The House one was to referendum and/or
Was to oppose in the two referendums. We can certainly just do that.
I think there's one other portion, and I don't know if this is a conversation we need to have with the senator, but this bill is allegedly about equality across the board, about how people are voted in, except all the charter counties and all the municipalities in the state are excluded. So my thing is, if you're going to put this bill in and rest on the laurels of equality, then equality means equal, all. So I think we should be considering that if it's going to go to the Senate committee, that there should be an amendment from the Senate that says all municipal governments and all charter governments must abide by the same law. I don't know if there's consensus here for that. That is just my opinion. But if you're going to have equality, you can't have it halfway. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, I think the irony of what Commissioner O'Connor said is this was put to referendum in Montgomery County in the last election. And what he is just proposing was shot down. And they wanted to, you know, let's change the way it votes, and the public said no. So as we watch the circumstances around here, we're being told what to do. Montgomery County voted exactly as Commissioner O'Connor said, and, you know, they get exempted and we get stuck.
Right.
So a letter of support, guys, for referendum and voting at large, same as,
Opposition to the,
right,
to the bill.
exactly, the same as we did to the
The
House.
referendum and,
Certainly.
Okay.
And next was just letting you know that House Bill 528, the repeal of the impact fee and authorization of the building excise tax, has passed the House and is in the Senate now. And the fourth page of this memo just went through the status of the legislative proposals that we had done. Did you want me to go through that?
Why don't you go through it for the sake of the public?
Oh, certainly, certainly. The first one was the decouple Metcom debt from county debt has been tabled. The House Bill 862, you know, to reduce the amount of debt Metcom can incur, that, you know, that's obviously going through. House,
They'll be able to reduce the amount of Metcom debt, but they're still linked together. Okay. Didn't know.
okay.
well, I mean, are we gonna get to 315, or have we figured that?
You good over there?
I'm sorry,
Are we still gonna get to 3.15?
I think that's where it is.
It's 3.15,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, still 3.15.
Right. So next was the public facilities bonds. That is House Bill 813. I just discussed the building excise tax. The Human Relations Commission language update is House Bill 527. The amendment to local gaming provisions is House Bill 530. Golf carts is House Bill 863. The bond bill for Breton Bay did not go forward. House Bill 529, the on-site consumption permit fees for alcohol beverages went forward. The request to exempt volunteer fire and rescue squads from recordation tax did not move forward. And the bond bill for the St. Mary's County Sports Complex has been introduced. And lastly, the EMS billing did not go forward. I don't know if you have any questions about that, but that's where we are.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
I do. So, take this off for this portion of it. Are we tracking any of the law enforcement bills that are currently up in Annapolis?
Such as, I believe we are tracking some, the ones that are what they call reform.
Yeah, that's very well put. Can we start tracking those in more detail?
Certainly.
The reason I bring this up is Senator Bailey and Senator Mike Jackson have basically had an all-out, knockdown, drag-out in order to get to a compromise on the various reform bills that are being pushed forward. Annapolis as a whole, the House and the Senate, has declared war on law enforcement, the profession in general, in the state. Quite frankly, a lot of their stances are ignorant. They don't understand the profession. They're politically motivated and emotionally motivated. And the reason I'm wanting to track them is because these bills are going to gut law enforcement, not the policies and the procedures, but the people that are going to do the job. There's one bill in there that says if somebody files a complaint on you as a police officer and the department sustains the charge against you, that person can now come back and civilly sue you for that charge. Okay. So if I'm rude to somebody, or an officer is rude to somebody, and that gets sustained against them, you can now come back and sue them for whatever in small claims court for $500 or $5,000. So they're actually allowing people to get civilly sued for sustained complaints. The records requests. They've made all of their records so far in the Senate subject to MPIA. But there's little to no policy and procedures on how that is going to work. I do believe that on these things, especially if we look in a micro manner with our sheriff's department here, that is well run, has tedious details, policies and procedures, internal affairs, that we need to stand behind them at a time that is so critical in Annapolis, even if it is a futile point, because they're going to do whatever they want to do up there anyway, and that's quite evident. But standing behind them also stands behind the rest of the men and women in this state that are out there making sure we're not getting carjacked, our homes aren't getting home invaded and broken into. So anyway, I know I went on a tangent on that one, but I am watching this happen, and we do have some very serious advocates up there for us, and Senator Bailey and Senator Michael Jackson are two of them, and I think we need to stand behind them as well. So either way, I would love to send letters of opposition to certain things if we can get briefed on it, but that's, of course, up to the board.
Next week.
But I do appreciate it.
I think that I concur with where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think that if you have followed the debate in Annapolis, Senator Jackson and Senator Bailey and a couple others have been very strong advocates of law enforcement. I think there was on one of the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights, Senator Jackson had 10 amendments or something like
We
that.
did,
and
yes.
All 10 got beat down.
Oh,
So for the sake of the discussion, I think that most of the bills are out of the Senate have moved to the House.
they have.
And I think that like the Leober, body-worn cameras, I don't know where the SRO is right now. That's out there, but
Yeah.
I think we should, for the sake of the discussion, as we just discussed 655, when those bills do move to the other side, the same letters of opposition that we have previously written to the Senate should also be forwarded to the House, if that's fair.
Oh, absolutely. And to your SRO point, I think it's an overreach on what they're doing. You know, we fund the school resource officers. We have an officer in the school that takes action. I mean, how quickly they forget why we have police there. You know, I don't want St. Mary's County to be dictated from the Beltway counties that have their own issues that they're doing. Give us an option to either opt in or opt out on that. Don't tell us we can't do what we need to do to keep our schools safe in our county. I'm very passionate about this one for multiple reasons.
Certainly.
But this is, I just see all the groups chatter, and I see the exodus. Montgomery County had 60 police officers, letters out, hey, you're hired. 54 wrote back and said, no, thank you, out of 60. And that's not a short process. It's a matter of time before it makes it here. And 54 out of 60. So that tells you something, that it really does. So thank you.
I think the irony is, was it 2 or 3 years ago, it was mandated you're going to have SROs in the high schools and the middle schools, and it was being shoved down, shoved down, shoved down, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
we just flipped the coin and gone the other way.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Weisskopf.
A strong advocate. MACO has been very strongly opposed to a
Yeah.
lot of this.
Yeah, Maco's
Yeah.
been very.
They have been really, and that's a strong union to go up there, and when they speak, they're speaking for 24 jurisdictions.
Sadly, they didn't win on any of these.
Yeah.
Good job. And I don't mind us speaking up too on our side,
Yeah.
but MACO's definitely been good about this. I agree.
So
Thank
just,
you.
Thank you.
just to clarify, Commissioners, you'd like to address letters or take the same positions as you've previously had if there's anything that happens between now and next Tuesday? That's consensus for the board.
Please.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
David, help me real quick, though. When they say decouple Metcom debt is tabled, I understand 4-0 no, 4-0 no. I understand that. But when something's tabled, that just means it's dead.
I think so for all practical purposes.
Yes, it's sort of dead.
Essentially, so we're not going to decouple the debt. And then the last one here on the EMS billing 4-0 no is the state doesn't want to get involved. I know we have that on our agenda today.
Well, what this was for, if you'll recall, the insurance article says the only people that can bill for ambulances have to be the ambulance service provider, and St. Mary's County does not meet that definition. And so what we were asking was to change the definition, so that St. Mary's County could meet that definition the way Washington County has, so that way we could just go ahead and bill on behalf of them. But what we've come up with, right, we've got 6 out of 7 MOUs is a much better way because it's with agreement of everybody.
Okay, but it's not in conflict with their...
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
This was a last resort, just in case we needed it.
Okay, see if we can get it.
It was like a backup for us.
Right. You always want to have more than one plan, right?
Exactly. It's
Tool
always
in the
good more.
toolbox,
Yes.
right?
Another tool in the toolbox. But we'll still be able to push on with the MOUs and make it happen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
And I know tracking all these extra bills increases your staff's workload as well as yours. So I do thank you for taking the time and having your staff do this.
Absolutely. I remember when I got here, it was a much lighter, thing. It's just increased. It's just increased every year, and it's fine. It's fine. It's,
Thank you, Mr. Kreisbaum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a good staff.
Okay, next on our agenda looks like the county administrator time.
Thank you, Commissioner President Guy. Commissioners, first is your draft meeting agendas. So next week on Tuesday, March 16th, you begin in the morning with the St. Mary's County Board of Health. You have 2 proclamations, Social Work Month and Equal Pay Day. Then you have Department of Land Use and Growth Management with the decision for the proposed ordinance to the official zoning maps of St. Mary's County to delete the existing 1,000-foot critical area boundary line and replace with a new critical area boundary line from the statewide base map as required by House Bill 1253. You also have your weekly legislative updates from the Office of the County Attorney. You adjourn your morning business meeting and reconvene that afternoon at 1:30 with the Department of Finance with a budget work session. The next week is March 23rd. You have your weekly legislative updates with the Office of the County Attorney. You adjourn your morning business meeting, reconvene at 1:30 in the afternoon with Department of Finance for the budget work session. For this morning's business meeting, we begin with 5B with the Department of Emergency Services with the EMS billing vendor agreement and rescue squad memorandum of agreement. Steve Walker, Director, presenting this morning, and you do have a couple guests on WebEx. Good morning, Steve.
Morning,
Morning,
Commissioner.
Mr. Walker.
So we've been working hard, and this is one of the next steps in our chain, and I'm very happy to be here to do that. So, of course, last October, we started by doing the supplemental staffing, and as we continue to work towards that, we're trying to identify funding sources, and this is one that we're working on. So before you are a couple different issues. One is to accept the memorandums of understanding of agreements with 6 of the rescue squads. The 7th is forthcoming. They are all agreeing to allow us to conduct EMS billing for them. So that's very nice. So that was the first request. And then the second one is to enter into the agreement with Quick Medic Claims, which is the company that will do that for us. And as soon as you approve that, we will begin working very quickly to build that system and put it all together. In your packet is a proposed fee sheet, and I believe the step for that will be to go to a public hearing. But that's where we are, and I'll be glad to take your questions. Again,
So
we've got a
just to
couple go.
clarify, Steve, the fee is requested for Commissioner's approval today so that we can begin FY21.
Yeah.
When everything's up and running. It does move forward with fees and charges for your FY22 budget hearing, as all your fees and charges do.
Right. Okay, that's how I understood it. Good.
What's the one that hasn't signed on yet? Which rescue squad?
It is Leonardtown, and they apparently have a board meeting tonight that they're discussing. Indications are it looks positive, but until they bring it back, we're still waiting.
Okay.
Well, the question I would have then is so that we don't have to, and this may be a Mr. Weiskopf answer. If they have a board meeting tonight, is there any way that this motion can say that if it's approved by the board, Emergency Services has the ability to adopt that MOU?
So Mr. Weiskopf did assist us with the motion. So
Oh,
the-
okay, I see that in the last
The
sentence.
end of the motion gives us that, the authority for Commissioner Guy to respond as a ministerial act in
Okay.
case it comes in after today's meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
If you read that last sentence.
done their meeting and let them tell us what they decided?
Well, that's what that last sentence is.
does give you-
It says, and so they don't have to come back to us.
Exactly.
It's,
Right. So
I didn't
Well,
get
suppose they
that
say
far.
no, Then we just continue on
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we will continue on.
without them,
Yes.
yeah.
and they'll not get any of the billing if they do any of the calls.
They could do billing on their own if they chose to.
But other than that, they don't get the bill.
Now, this medic, quick medic claims, I did the old Google, they got some pretty bad reviews out there. I mean, a lot of the people who used to work there talked about what a toxic environment is, and I mean, have you looked into this group other than, how'd you find them?
So we have found them from other departments that have used them. I didn't do that Google, I didn't see that. So they're doing Dorchester County, they're doing either Hartford or Howard, and a couple of the other ones. So that's how we did it. We wanted to make sure that they have competitively bid and that they would be accepted, and they have done that. That's how we pursued that, was looking to make sure that somebody else has gone through that bid process, and they have.
But we looked at other people who do it, or we just copied someone else's?
We just copied someone else's, to be honest. We just, truly, the expediency is really what drove us to try to get up and running as quick as we can to
Okay,
make
that
sure that
leaves
we
the
can
next
fund it.
part. How long we tied in if we get involved with this group? Suppose we decide it's not working for us.
Do we have like a 1-year contract with them, 2 years, 3
We
years?
can do that, and that was what you had established before, that we would do this for a year and come back and rebid this.
Okay, so it's like a 1 year.
We're talking to a 1-year contract.
We are not bound to this forever, so.
For me, I would like to say, one, the internal human resources of a company, if the outward performance is top-notch, that's for them to deal with. And disgruntled employees, believe me, I've dealt with plenty of them. They like to go on all sorts of platforms and type whatever it is they want to type, especially if you don't leave with a compensation package and an NDA. All right, it happens. So who knows the terms in which those employees left. My main concern is performance. How have they performed? And that's all I want to know, because from reading what it is, there's no performance issues.
To date, they are excellent in working with us. There have been no issues. They're very quick to respond, very accurate with their information. So far, and again, it's just preliminarily starting, but they've worked well with us.
And their references?
Queen Anne's speaks extremely highly of them, and the other one is Hartford. I think it was Hartford. I haven't talked to them, but Hartford has an efficient system too. So,
Yes, they do.
but Queen Anne's talks extremely high.
Very good.
Them.
Mr. Walker, if I could follow into Commissioner Hewitt's statement, he said, how long is it good for? And you said a year.
So it actually,
It says, in term, the agreement shall commence from the first date and continue for 3 years unless otherwise terminated in accordance with Section 2. And Section 2 all deals with cause. Now, cause, if we decide to move on, if I read, I'm not a lawyer, but if I read cause, we want to move, that ain't one of the causes listed here.
I think Mr. Weiskopf would need to help us through that, because we did discuss some of that, but I would want the county attorney to help us.
Thank you,
work through it.
Mr. Walker. The agreement we negotiated with them was reduced down to a year. Did they, and I'm sorry, if it says 3, is that an earlier?
Shall commence to the first day and continue for 3 years unless otherwise terminated in accordance with Section 2 of the agreement.
Yeah.
The agreement then shall automatically renew successfully for 1-year options unless terminated by either party provides.
That what we
the
did, go to
notice.
1-year options? Okay.
That's after 3, though. So if you read section,
No,
maybe you've got to go back and do a little review. Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt.
Where are you reading that at, Todd? Because I read the agreement shall commence on this date first written above and continue for 1 year.
Right, that's what I'm looking at. I wonder if you have an earlier draft. Yes,
I'm
that's,
reading whatever you put in the package.
no, that,
That's an
So
earlier
the,
draft.
yeah, the draft, it was.
The draft was 3 years,
Right.
but the newest one that I see is 1 year.
the newest one on page 3 is for an initial term of 1 year, and it can be automatically renewed for 1-year terms unless either party provides in writing. But you'll also see that there's a without cause provision that either party can terminate within 90 days. So if we get into this and don't like it whatsoever, we're out in 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
And I apologize that it got confusing, and you have the,
Yeah, my apologies.
I mean, so, well, I mean,
you made me nervous that they had.
no. It,
No,
it
it's-
it happens every once in a while with the documents because it's updated on the computer.
Yeah.
Todd is still in the paper age.
Do what?
Huh?
What'd you say?
What?
But that's where we are
Said
with
you're in
the
the
term.
paper age.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
So,
it.
so actually, the draft we have in the book here is incorrect.
Yeah.
Mine's correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, there's 2 in the book here.
I didn't, I just read the first one.
You gotta find the one dated May 1st, 2021.
Uh-oh.
And mine was stuck between papers, so I'm sorry for this delay. I'm
My
just trying
my
to-
apologies for it being in there, so.
It's okay.
That's all.
This was,
Okay, I see, I got it now.
very
I
fast
didn't
moving
read
and-
the second
Was
one.
very
we
fast
probably
moving.
went through 7 or 8, different versions of it.
That's why I asked about the term, because I like the first one I read said 3 years too, and I said, well, I thought we said 1 year.
Right, no.
Well, either way,
Good, good.
there was a ton of work on behalf of legal, Mr. Walker, your team. Well, we can't forget the RSA and every single chief and president that was out there.
Yes.
Tireless work and involvement. So I appreciate that because I know this wasn't an easy feat on anybody's behalf, and remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Geary.
Yes.
Because he was the, I don't want to term, well, yeah, but also the smoother.
That's true. That's true. He was a constant that kept it all.
Yeah.
Even keel.
Yeah. So I move to approve the acceptance of the memorandum agreement MOA between the Commission of St. Mary's County and the 6 rescue squads of St. Mary's County established for the purpose of authorizing the St. Mary's County government to implement an emergency medical service ambulance transport services billing system on their behalf. Approve the business agreement with the vendor Quick Medic Claims, who will provide the service for St. Mary's County. Approve the medical transport fees and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents, as well as additional rescue squad MOAs as received and approved by county fiscal and legal authority.
Second discussion. Before we actually vote, would your guests online like to make any comments since they've waited for a while to talk with us?
We have, of course, Todd from Quick Medic. I don't know if he has any comments.
I don't. I was just listening as you guys were discussing, and I'm happy to see that the contract, the agreement terms were confirmed, and I have nothing else to add.
And I think that's Chuck there with you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So Chuck Humphrey, thank you very much for this opportunity. We're thrilled to be able to work with you. I just wanted to address the Commissioner's comment about employees. So I want you to know I have 35 years of EMS experience. I'm still active in Pennsylvania with certifications at PT. And I have 23 years in this business, EMS billing, of which the last 3.5 have been with QuickMed. My company was acquired in an acquisition by QuickMed, and I will tell you on my behalf, my experience in acquisition has been probably the most positive of my entire career. So this is a great company, and I'll give you a testimonial from this old guy's standpoint that we have a heart and care during COVID. I have been most blessed with being able to support our clients in various means, holding webinars and supporting our clients with things like the public relief funding and the uninsured programs. And it's truly been quite an experience. I've seen the heart of this company within the last year, more so than I ever dreamed I would in my career in this industry. So I just want to give you that feedback from this guy that QMC experience has been a wonderful one, and we look forward to extending that experience to your county as well.
Well said.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Did April, I see her name up there, and I forgot that she changed her name, so I didn't, when I saw Rollins, I was like, which April is that? Did she have anything?
So we did invite the other members, the other partners, and she's the only one that could make it. She certainly is a great spokesman for the group. So April, I don't know if you want to make some comments or not.
I don't have anything else to say. But just here to support.
Thank you, April, very much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who Kim is. Is she from?
She's from the Board of Ed.
Okay, got it. All right.
She deals with different types of.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, while we're still in discussion, one other thing, I see we got a recommended fee and Medicare transport fee. Are we going to go with the recommended? Is that what we're going to do?
I mean, I think this is a good starting point. That
Oh,
we can-
okay. So we haven't really decided exactly yet. Yeah.
Right. If you are approving that, then certainly we're going to go. Now, Chuck on the line, who is a financial whiz
Well, what I'm
guy.
concerned about is I want to make sure we do, quote, soft billing. I don't want the people to have to pay anything.
No.
Now, you're saying here amount due from patient, 20%.
But if they don't pay it, they don't pay
That's
it.
what I want to make sure it doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to make
Yeah,
sure we got
that's-
soft billing. And for those who can't afford it, we don't want to be billing them.
No, absolutely, 100%. I
Okay.
personally am very
From the
much
insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. I know Medicaid's got a low fee in the
Yes.
state of Maryland, like $100 of transport. So all they've got, they got a bill and they're trying to increase it right now in the
Yes.
Senate, but we don't know what's going to happen with that. But
Yes, we've stressed that with QMC, and we will continue to do that. That is absolute. This is just a figure that
Okay.
it would be. If somebody can't afford it, they don't pay it.
I understand.
And
I
that's
understand.
the way it absolutely needs
Very
to be.
good. So make sure we continue the soft billing. That's right.
Right. We really don't want anybody that thinks that they are going to have to pay and then they're afraid to call.
Afraid to call the ambulance.
We
yeah.
don't want that.
I don't want nobody to be afraid to call.
No, we're there 100%.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, I have a first and second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Make it happen, Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Important step. So, and more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And item C is from the Department of Finance with the contract award authorization for calendar year 2021 asphalt overlay services contract. Ms. Cudmore, CFO, Procurement Officer, presenting this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, and I have some people coming with me.
Mr. Hayden. Hey, Mr. Hayden's here. And
Much that
Don?
cheer.
Hayden,
Last guy to sit in it.
Good morning.
Shrunk in front of us.
and we're here to discuss the calendar year 2021 asphalt overlay services. Brandon, would you like to?
The second half of fiscal year 21 projects and the first half of FY 22 projects. This process allows for our contractor to continue working on paving projects during prime summer months without stopping. The asphalt overlay solicitation was posted to the eMaryland Marketplace Advantage on December 22nd, where 151 potential bidders were notified of the solicitation. Additional bidders were notified on the county website. No pre-bid meeting was held. One amendment was posted to answer questions and respond to requests for additional information. And 4 bids were received before the bid opening on January 29th at 3 p.m. We're here seeking award concurrence to Aggregate Industries in an estimated amount of $2,509,700 for asphalt overlay projects to be completed in calendar year 2021, subject to receipt and acceptance of contract-related documents, as well as sufficient appropriations for FY 22 projects, which will be encumbered to a purchase order on or after July 1st.
I move to authorize the procurement officer to award the asphalt overlay services contract for calendar year 2021 to Aggregate Industries in the amount of estimated to exceed $1 million, subject to receipt and acceptance of contract and related documents.
Second.
do we have any discussion? I do have one. Since there's a big push to eliminate oil products, things like that, and asphalt has a lot of oil, do you have any kind of margin in here to possible increases in the next year or two?
It adjusts based on the Maryland Asphalt Index.
Okay.
I think is mdasphalt.org. So the base price that was bid will adjust in accordance with that index.
And do you know if right now that index is showing an increase in this year?
I didn't look.
You know,
I'm
okay,
sure
I'm
that-
just wondering. Yeah.
But
Well, with everything being shut down, pipelines and all that kind of stuff, the oil
So
season.
you opened it up in January, and this is March, and oil's gone up $10 a barrel.
Barrel since then, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's-
That's what I'm curious about. I see how much is going up, and I'm just wondering how it's going to affect the asphalt cost product. Okay, I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioners. And item D is from Department of Finance with the CIP budget amendments to realign various CIP projects. Ms. Cudmore?
Yes, good morning. And I also have Kim Howe, and I think Art Shepard has come to join me at the table. Come on up. All right, Commissioners, we have, let's see, we have BAs first from the Board of Ed. And what they are doing is they're closing out 2 projects and moving it to the FIN, and then taking the money from the FIN and moving it to the Green Holly Elementary School switchgear HVAC. Kim, do you have any comments?
Yeah, so when we opened the bids for the sorry, there's a little bit of delay. I'll try really well here. When we opened the bids for the Green Holly project, we were a little short on the funding. So we're utilizing the existing funds from existing projects that are ready to be closed to cover that difference. One of the things we've seen during COVID is a variance in bidding. So we're utilizing some of the savings from the Great Mills High School to definitely cover this.
I move to approve the related.
Next question, Ms. Howe,
Okay.
on this Green Holly project, I'm assuming that this HVAC unit is on the ground, it's not on the roof. Is that a fair statement?
There would be components that on the roof
Well, let me ask the other
that would be
question.
included in this project.
So we just finished doing the roof, and now we have to tear the roof up to start this project?
No, sir. The Green Holly project is based on 2 different portions of that school.
So
This is the original Green Holly A,
So this is if I'm facing
and we
Green,
just replaced the roof on Green Holly B.
so if I'm facing Green Holly from Millstone, this is the portion on the right where the roof was not replaced?
Yes, sir. This is the older portion of the building.
Thank you.
Ms. Howe, tell me, you saved $846,000 on the Great Mills High School roof replacement?
Yes, that project was bid right during the period when we went into COVID lockdown. And it was very competitively bid, and there was a lot of interest in that project, which resulted in a significant savings.
Oh, goodness, thank you, and that's a great savings.
Thank you.
Ms. Cudmore, now, when you say FIN reserve is negative 210,000.
We have another budget amendment. We're taking $210,000 from the FIN
out of the
21.
And the
Right.
FIN's sitting at $3 million right now?
Yes.
3 million,
Yes.
12?
So the other BA is for Recreation and Parks, and we're putting $25,000 from the FIN to the Park Planning Grant, $25,000 to the Recreation Facilities and Park Improvement Project, and then $160,000 to the Lexington Manor Passive Park. The Lexington Manor Passive Park was originally requested for the FY22 budget request. We wanted to wait until we got a better number. I think it originally started around over 200,000, and so now we're down to 160. And then we knew at that amount we could probably take it out of the FIN. So this was planned to come out of the FIN when the request originally had come in.
Mr. Shepard, what are you going to do with $160,000?
Well, we're going to complete this first phase. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wind up getting it all done right now. At the Passive Park, you're going to have an excellent new public restroom, street lighting, new entrance, network roadscaping, streetscaping there, arts park amenities there, staging for concerts there. So the whole project is going to be complete. We're done there. When we're done there this spring, summer, you're going to see something that's going to integrate and bring Lancaster Park and that together. The improved disc golf course improvements have already been made there. So it's going to be one of our top line parks, if not the one in the county, with the synergy and the being adjacent to Lancaster Park, the new turf fields, the new playground there. An excellent site.
And this is all right in the Lexington Park area, isn't it?
Right in it.
Downtown almost.
I think when you go back there, and I drove back there the other day because, we have the discers out there playing. The cherry blossoms will be coming out. If you go back and see the cleaning up you did, if I'm going down on the right-hand side, the thing, it shows that we're putting a tremendous investment in Lexington Park to make it nice, to tie the Passive Park, the monument, the UCAC headquarters, and the park back there. It's really looking nice.
Mr. Shepherd, I want to tell the commissioners, Mr. Shepherd addressed the Lexington Park Rotary Club last night. Did a great job. Thank you very much. And my point is that what we're doing for Lexington Park is we're trying to take our tougher areas and we're trying to do something better about it. Now, how much do you think we've tied up in that area, that Passive Park?
In the Passive Park, well, you've allocated up until this point $1.2 million. Now, $600,000 of it is from Program Open Space. So when this is all said and done, if you approve this budget amendment today, you're at 1.4, and out of that, $835,000 in county funds is what they'll be. You're going to get a real nice park for $835,000 for county funds.
But we'll be doing more in the future, or will this be the build-out?
This is a great start, because after that it's trails and adding some amenities, and some of my partners I'd want to help with that, because we have great partnerships with Sierra Club, Arts Council, we were with the Rotary last night, Three Notch Theater. So I'm sure there's going to be some investment with those as well, so that we can make this a community park. Because Commissioner Morgan said, I'm looking forward to maybe coming this Christmas, that we celebrate there, stage, music, and then the Cherry Blossom Festival next spring, eventually bring UCAC onto that side with the Juneteenth celebration. That'd be a wonderful Juneteenth in that shaded area portion of the park.
And you think it'll be done by?
Well, they've begun. They've started. They've started on that side. The demolition will take no time, and what that means, they're going to take those roads in half, move that impervious surface, which is good for our community grants, and then asphalt overlay half the size. Yeah, I'm thinking this summer they'll be done, at least. And then the bathroom, that was a big one, to get that new public restroom that's going to be ADA accessible. And what I mean by that, we're going to have wide aprons, so it's going to come off the trail. You're not going to have these little 90-degree turns. So we wanted that no touch in there, because that's what's happening with the new restrooms. Everything's no touch. So we're going to have a real nice restroom up there by the Three Oaks Center. And yeah, we told the bathroom, we met with them last week, the engineers of the project there, and we said we wanted to be done by July 1.
Last question is
Yes,
parking.
sir.
Are you we're not gonna have to interfere with the merchants who are, use the parking for that area over there? We'll be having a parking lot?
Okay, yeah, the new park.
Lancaster already, but will we have something there?
Excellent. So you come in off now, you'll be coming in off of Route 235 on what we used to call East Rennell Avenue.
Just past the Three Oaks entrance?
Yeah, Lay Drive, yeah, yep, just right past that. Then you'll turn in there, and there'll be about an 18-space diagonal parking lot, street lights to access to UCAC and the like. Then when you go up to, so you can't get down Coral Drive anymore, because that's the whole magic of it. It's non-motorized wheels, so it's total safety. Kids in the parks, wheels, jogging, scooters, the works. So then for events, you'll have, that's county property between the Passive Park and the post office. That's county property for parking. For events. You do have Tulagi if you had an event, but no normal, and the disc golfers, they know they'll be coming up East Rennell and parking at Lancaster Park. But for events, we have plenty of parking, plus by putting the removal of the bollards in, and we had and UCAC really grows, then we can pull them up when you come in off East Rennell and then turn into the disc golf and park there. And then we would ask disc golf like we have in the past on Juneteenth Day, that day the disc golf is closed because of the event.
That's
Sounds
great.
transformational.
That's a great word.
Sounds like a great venue for our Lexington Park residents.
Thank you for saying that.
I move to approve the related budget amendments, realigning the various CIP projects, decreasing the FIN 21 capital reserve by $210,000, and authorize the Commission President to sign the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioners, and this completes County Administrator time.
Okay, it looks like we go right into Commissioner time, and we'll start with Commissioner Hewitt.
Goodness gracious, thank you very much.
Your turn.
$3 million in the FIN 21. That's a little heavy, but it's a good place to be. It's better than being in the negative there. Good news out of the CDC yesterday. Apparently, if you've had both your vaccinations and you're with other people who have had both your vaccinations, you don't have to wear a mask if you don't want to. Not saying that don't wear your mask, wear your mask. It's, hey, look, it's starting to get to be something like a seatbelt in a car, you know. It's amazing how much we all wear them. But that's good news. It shows that we're making progress, that we're hopefully eventually get this economy, this country opened up again, and whether it be travel or whatever we do, we'll be able to return to normal. I'm glad that the commissioners have sent a letter to the governor asking for a reopening of the senior center of Leonardtown. Lord knows we finished that thing a year ago, and we haven't been able to let anybody in yet. And with the relaxation from the CDC, and I know the governor has an announcement this afternoon, maybe they'll let people start getting together again as long as we've been vaccinated. The good news is over 60% of our seniors have been vaccinated. And Lord knows, everybody knows, health department's doing a wonderful job. It's been very seamless. And hopefully in the next couple of months, this thing continues to get behind us. Critical Areas Commission. Been a lot of people reaching out saying, hey, look, I understood what they said in 2018, and maybe I should have, I was opposed to it then. I'm still opposed to this changing of the boundary lines, and there is the feeling that it is an overreach or a take of private property, and to some degree I agree with that. Hopefully we'll be able to find some type of a mechanism, that's the term I'll use, to allow people who are in the process to be grandfathered in. But if you haven't been in the process, hopefully we can find some way of getting you in. But I do want to say to the Rayleighs who reached out to me last week in the Hollywood area that they didn't have the money 2 years ago to do what they hoped to be able to do, and they still don't have it, that they're hoping they can come up with the money in however long time it takes, and they can put an improvement on the back of their home and enjoy their property. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And that's something we hopefully will have a meeting about later on this morning with some critical area director and chairman, and hopefully we can get some headway or at least some clarity on that. Lastly is spring. They're talking 70 degrees. Thank goodness. Lord knows the trees are budding. It's before we know it, spring will be here, and Lord knows this commissioner is ready for it. Thank you.
Well, this morning we passed a important motion for our EMS billing. It's not an easy motion. It's change. Change is always difficult, and it's a necessary motion. Now, we've had a lot of discussion on it, but I want to take a minute and reiterate a couple points. First off, it was stressed this morning in the meeting, and I want to stress it again. Do not hesitate to call 911 if you need an ambulance. That is important. That is critical. The way this billing works, as Commissioner Guy talked about, it's a soft billing. If you can't afford to pay it, if you don't have insurance to pay it, we're not going to come after you. It's important that that is noted. I want to thank the rescue squads that have signed their MOAs, and I know Leonardtown's looking to do that probably this week. It's a good partnership. We've approved an EMS billing company that's going to come in and manage this. They're going to do great work for us, I believe. And this is necessary. This is all just a way to gain revenue through the insurance companies that are going to be paying the bills in order to support supplemental staffing. The only reason we're doing supplemental staffing is to support our volunteer rescue squads, because the number one concern, I don't like to speak for the entire board, but I think we're all in agreement that protecting our citizens, if you call 911, you should have an ambulance arrive That is critical. And I think everyone up here agrees with me, that our volunteer rescue squads are the right path to do that. We support you all. We thank you for the work that you're doing. You're doing a great job, and we want to help. That's what this is for. So it's a big step. I know that change is hard for a lot of people. It's hard for me to see this happen in our county, but it's an important step and it's necessary. I want to end on a good note. Not that that wasn't a good note, but a good note. It's beautiful weather today. It's beautiful weather the rest of this week. Today is National Crab Meat Day, and no state in the country has better crab meat than Maryland. So thank you for that. Have a good day and a good week.
All right. So here we are. So everything, beautiful weather. I can't say that enough. I'm glad. I like the cool mornings, a little bit of a warmer day. Just take that jacket off. So as the warmer weather comes around, please look twice for motorcycles. They're out on the road. Share the road and make sure you're paying attention. Our county is, if you look at it, there's more serious accidents, vehicle accidents, all the time when you're turning around. So I want to make sure that people are paying attention to what they're doing when they're driving. They're not distracted, and that they're slowing down. We just had, unfortunately, a fatal accident on St. Andrews Church Road. So, I mean, that's, I believe, a 22-year-old young lady lost her life. So that's definitely tragic. So let's pay attention out there. The weather is getting there. The roads are going to start getting more crowded as some of these sanctions that are against us get lifted with COVID. With that being said, there's some programs that I am looking at that hopefully we could do something about. One is knowing that the bars and restaurants are going to start getting packed again. There's some information available from Maryland Highway Safety Office with Uber, where some counties or local jurisdictions are setting aside funding for Uber. Whereas if somebody is at the bar and the bartender realizes that this person is intoxicated, that they should not be operating a vehicle. While they should not serve to the level of that intoxication, it happens. They have the option to go ahead and order an Uber for that person. And if that person doesn't have an Uber account or whatever it may be, it's a safe ride home. It's very minimal allocation, and there is some grant funding available in matching funds. So that's really, really positive news and something that's in a few other jurisdictions. Watch from the RSA, the Rescue Squad Association. I did bring to the county administrator about your narcotics lockboxes in your ambulances. I know that as we focus on the big picture, sometimes the little things can get lost. In this one, no blame to be pointed, although I did basically say whatever it takes to get it done, and make it happen fast so the narcotics can be secured with positive entry and identifying everybody that goes in there to secure those medications as the JMD wants. So we heard you loud and clear. That's happening. Last but not least, I spoke about it earlier, and I was glad to see that my colleagues are moving in the direction of supporting, or always have, but in sense of what's going on in Annapolis with the basic, as I'm calling it, the war on the law enforcement profession. Not just me, but many other people. Some of the bills up there, when you got to look at it, there's no politician that's subject to what they're asking law enforcement officers to undergo. There's no politician that's subject to split-second decisions. There's no lawyer that's subject to split-second decisions. In fact, the lawyers are the ones that take years to break apart and digest the split-second decision that's made. Doctors kill people frequently across the United States. All right, when I say frequently, it accidentally, maybe it's malpractice, it happens. There's no public process for them. Like, hey, doc, how you doing? Just killed 4 people yesterday, no big deal, but we're going to go do your surgery anyway. It's truly amazing to me. There's no, emergency medical services, there's no public process for them for things, and they're making split-second decisions as well. Again, thank you to the senators and those delegates that have some common sense and are looking at this from a practical standpoint. But one thing that gets lost in all this that nobody said, how many senators and delegates are criminal defense attorneys that are up there? I can name at least 7 off the top of my head. They benefit from all these laws for their clients, every single one of them. So people need to look at the conflict that exists with these lawyers that are delegates and senators that are voting on bills that directly affect their firms for financial gain. That is crucial, because if I'm a criminal defense attorney and I'm in Annapolis, I'm drooling over some of these bills. I really am. So I think people should take a look at that. Anyway, support them. They're there. They're supporting you. And I know that's a serious note, but things are getting heated up there. So thank you.
All right, Todd, you got it.
Thanks,
Lawyers
President.
and doctors, they're killing everybody.
They are.
Hey, kids are back in school. Isn't it great? There's school buses on the road. Kids are smiling on the corners in the morning now. Parents are happy to get the kids out of school and get back to where they belong. Sports programs are out there. I saw volleyball last night. I saw some kids playing soccer, a little bit of lacrosse. Thank goodness. So I'm just glad that kids are back out there. But as Commissioner O'Connor said, kids are out there, buses are out there. Slow down. Damn it, there's no rush to get anywhere anymore. Slow down, please. Last but not least, last week I had the privilege of attending the McKay's ribbon cutting where the old Shoppers used to be. It was now called Patuxent Crossing, formerly Sanssouci. Beautiful store, locally owned, local produce, local hires, pays local taxes. Can't say that about anybody else, but I can say that about McKay's. So if you would please, support your local grocery stores, support your local merchants, support your local small businesses, and with that, I know everybody's happy about the springtime, so have at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I have to fully support that, too. Support your local, not only that, but coming up here, spring is coming, and pretty soon we'll have some fresh vegetables on the market. I took a walk over to a farm yesterday to witness Mr. Walter and Betty Russell getting all their little plants together in their greenhouses. They got about 7 or 8 big greenhouses in the back. And it's amazing the production they go through to give us these fresh flowers and vegetables as they come up. So please do shop local, and it's all for our benefit in the end here. I'd like to also remind everybody that 1:30 p.m. today we have our next budget work session, so tune in. And my wife even asked, said, why did we rename the shopping center Patuxent Crossing Shopping Center? Well, it probably means more because that's sort of what the name of the neighborhood is around the area there. So why not do the shopping center the same? And so that's the only good answer I had for. I said, well, maybe we named the other name too long, so we changed it a little bit. And that's the way it works in the government sometimes. You make it related to the area where we live at. It's worked out good. I think we stepped really well ahead here today with our emergency medical service. We've been way behind on this medical billing, and I want to remind everybody out there again, for those of you that are worried about paying, your insurance company will pay, Medicare will pay, Medicaid will pay. We're not going to take anything out of your pocket. So don't be worried about calling 911 if you got an emergency. We will be there, and that's the way it is. We service all the citizens in our county, and nothing will stop us from doing that. That's part of the program of emergency services. We are there to provide for you. With that said, remember 1:30 p.m. budget work session. We're adjourned.